skate down to Prospect Avenue. Get info you require. Oh, we're gonna skate down to Prospect Avenue, your hockey news supplier.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the world-famous Prospect Avenue podcast, your definitive source for everything Buffalo Sabres prospects. I am your host, Chris Baker, here in the bunker in lovely Hamburg, New York. It is World Junior Championship time. The tournament will kick off this year, as it always does, on December 26th. This year, the tournament's being played up in Ottawa, Ontario, and it will conclude with the gold medal game on Sunday evening, January 5th. The Buffalo Sabres will have 6 prospects taking part in this year's tournament, 2 that are currently with the Rochester Americans, 3 that will likely sign NHL entry-level contracts in the very near future, and 1 who might be considered a little bit of a long shot. Now, the United States is the defending champion after defeating host Sweden at the 2024 World Junior Championship. And this year, they're coming in pretty much dead even with Canada on the odds board. If you look at the 2025 World Junior Championship odds, you're looking at Canada at plus 130, the U.S. at plus 140, and then there's a little bit of a gap before you get to Sweden at plus 600, Finland at plus 900, Czechia, who might not be a little bit of a decent sleeper bet, at plus 3,300, the Slovaks coming in at plus 5,000, Switzerland plus 15,000, Germany plus 20,000, Latvia plus 25,000, and the board gets rounded out with long shot Kazakhstan coming in at plus 40,000. So as the tournament is played every year, the 10 teams will be carved up into 2 groups of 5. This year, Group A is loaded with the United States, Canada, Finland, Latvia, and Germany. Group B is headlined by Sweden, along with Czechia, Slovakia, Switzerland, and Kazakhstan. Want to go through and briefly put together some capsules here on the 6 prospects that the Sabres will have in action. Not going to go in group order here, just going to bounce around, and we're going to start with the 2 that are currently under contract with the Sabres and playing with the Rochester Americans in the American Hockey League. And we're going to start with Finnish forward Kontiola Helenus. Helenus is one of 6 returnees from last year's Finland squad. Helenus this year is going to be expected to lead Finland as a truly competitive number 1 center. And the Finns, they open the tournament on the 26th against Canada. So Helenus this year off to a pretty good start to his North American career. Presently has 6 goals and 17 total points in 28 games. So he's at a production rate of 0.61 points per game this season. 5 of his 11 assists are primary helpers, and he's currently 3rd on the team with 66 shots on goal. So Helenus is kind of interesting. He's firing at 2.36 shots on goals per game. Pretty similar statistically to where Yuri Kulik was in his 18-year-old campaign in the American Hockey League. By comparison, Kulik, before leaving for the 2023 World Junior Championship, he played 24 games. He had 6 goals and 16 points. So again, Helenus is at 6 goals and 17 points, playing 4 more games, by the way. So Helenus at 0.61 points per game. Kulik was at 0.67 points per game. I mentioned Helenus, 3rd on the team right now with 66 shots on goal at a 2.36 shots on goal per game rate. Kulik was at 2.38 shots on goal. He had 57 shots in 24 games. So pretty similar statistically. And it's kind of been, maybe a lower key start for Helenus, if you think about it. I think largely because his goals have come in spurts. A lot of times when we talk about Kulik, when he was an 18-year-old, he became a prolific scorer, especially in the second half of the year when he was moved to center with a Brandon Biro injury after he came back from the World Junior Championship. When you look at Helenus' body of work so far this year, he had a 4-game goal streak early in the season. So they were grouped together early. And then most recently in mid-December, he amassed 6 assists over a 4-game point streak. So again, he's kind of doing his production in spurts, but he's been a pretty steady player this year for the Amerks. When you watch him play, you just see that I think he's made a pretty good adjustment to the speed of the North American game. His processing's been really good. He's really good at holding pucks, but he also knows and can identify those opportunities of when he needs to quickly move it off his stick. But I think the biggest thing that has been a factor in Helenus getting off to a good start is his strength on the puck. He still has some growing to do and some strength development to go through here over the next couple of years. But just seeing his strength, when you compare him to other 18-year-olds that we've seen come into the AHL and play, whether it was Zemgus Girgensons over 10 years ago or, even Kulik just a couple seasons ago, they were getting knocked around a little bit. You could clearly see the need to develop more strength. You don't get the same vibe with Helenus. You know that he has more to go through, like I said, but he's really good, strong over the puck, really good battling at that center ice position. And he's played a pretty big role here for the Amerks thus far. So really excited to see him go to the tournament this year. He had a goal and an assist last year for Finland at the World Juniors, and he could equal that, frankly, in his very first game when Finland takes the ice on the 26th against Canada. That could be a pretty solid game to start the tournament. So really excited to see what Helenus can do here at the event, and then what he can do with that confidence and just have his development reset when he comes back and finishes out the year with the Rochester Americans club that is very much in the thick of things there in the AHL North Division. We're going to keep going here and talk about Anton Wahlberg, who's been playing this year with the Amerks alongside Helenus. Wahlberg is one of 9 returnees for Team Sweden that last year won the silver medal, losing on home ice to the United States. It's a pretty well-rounded group here. A lot of returnees, as well as a lot of players that won bronze last spring at the under-18s. When you look at Wahlberg last year, he was that big net front presence on Sweden's top line. Had just a goal and 2 assists in the tournament, 7 games last year, but looked really good as kind of more of a power guy, worker guy, playing on that line with Noah Ostlund and Vancouver Canucks prospect Jonathan Lekkerimäki. So big guy, long, really good in front of the net. You can see here with some of the highlights if you're watching on YouTube. What we like about Wahlberg is that I think his power game that is still developing here early on in his North American professional career should really shine when he goes back and plays at the under-20 event. Keeps his game in straight lines, really good at winning board battles, really good on the cycle, and then he just hits the net once he gets the puck off his stick. So expecting to see a lot more of that here from Wahlberg when he takes the ice with Team Sweden. Again, not going to be really a prolific scorer. I think he's going to get his fair share of points at this tournament. But again, just stylistically, he's a guy that really pairs well with skilled skaters that can play a fast game. You think of some of the way that NHL teams construct their lines, putting a powerful net front guy out there with 2 creators, some speedy guys. That's what I expect the Swedes to do again with Wahlberg, just like they did last year. When you look in the context of what Wahlberg has done this season with the Amerks, he has 4 goals and 10 total points through 25 games this season down on the farm. 4 of his 6 helpers are primary. And what's cool about what Wahlberg's done this year is that he has 10 points, and that equals the total output that he had last year playing for the Malmö Redhawks in the Swedish Hockey League in 43 total games. So well ahead of his production rate from a season ago, playing professionally overseas. And now he's back. He's got a good start to a season in the AHL, just like what we said with Helenus, should really do well in this tournament and then come back, and hopefully it launches him to greater things here in the second half of his AHL season. So just to repeat, Sweden is in what I would consider the lighter group at the World Juniors this year with Czechia, Slovakia, Switzerland, and Kazakhstan. They're set up pretty well to emerge, just like they always do in group play. The Swedes are always very strong in their first 4 games of the tournament, and then things get real and it tests their mettle a little bit, but they have a pretty good group, and we'll see what they can do when they begin play on the 26th against Slovakia. The Slovaks, by the way, will be led by rock solid right-handed defenseman Maxim Sturbach, second round pick by the Sabres a couple of years ago. We've seen Sturbach play in 2 pre-tournament games thus far on the blue line for Slovakia. First game, he was paired with current Des Moines Buccaneers defenseman and Arizona State commit Richard Barron in a 6-0 pre-tournament loss to Finland. And then in the second game, he came out and they moved him with another right-handed defenseman, Jakub Kromiak, who plays up with the Kitchener Rangers in the Ontario League. They were paired together in a 6-2 loss to the United States. I really do think that the Slovaks will go with a left-right setup on their top pair, Sturbach being that rock, Richard Barron himself, a very active defenseman. They could be a very fun pair to watch. Stylistically, Sturbach and Kromiak works. I just think that with the minutes that are going to be demanded of Sturbach, Barron's just a better partner, I think, for the team to have out there with Sturbach playing those demanding minutes. But we'll see how it goes when the tournament begins. On Sturbach, what's interesting here, he's been a mainstay on the Slovakia program. This is actually going to be his 4th World Junior Championship. When you look at his season this year with Michigan State, just a do-it-all anchor on the Spartans blue line, really anchoring in an all situations role, the number 1 team in the NCAA this year, where he has 1 goal and 8 assists in 16 games. Sturbach, it's a no-nonsense game. He's got good physicality, gets down, blocks shots, can move the puck, kind of does it all. He plays a hard, disciplined game, and I think that's important to note. He's averaged a team-leading 20 minutes and 27 seconds time on ice this season, and he has just 2 penalty minutes. And that penalty, which was a roughing minor, came way at the end of the game. There was like a minute and a half left back on October 5th in the second game of the season. So steady in his play, but also reliable, not spending a lot of time in the box. And he's going to play a huge role. Again, I can't stress that enough for Slovakia this year. Played a huge role last year. He had a goal and 6 assists last year in 5 games at the tournament. His 6 helpers tied for the most amongst defensemen at the 2024 event. And he's, like I said, it's going to be a major minute muncher in games of consequence for the Slovaks. When you go back last year in their elimination game, it was a 4-3 overtime loss to Finland. Sturbach played a game high 25 minutes and 59 seconds. So expect more of that this year. Big role. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes over 20 in every single game that the Slovaks play. They're a team that should comfortably get out of group play. And Slovakia, you never know. I like the Czechs, but I think the Slovaks could be a sleeper with Sturbach's all situations leadership this year at the World Juniors. So we'll see how it shakes out. All right, let's get to the good stuff. Team USA. Sabres have 2 prospects that'll be playing for the American squad this year as they look to repeat as gold medal winners for the first time in the country's history. And we'll just get right to it with Brody Ziemer, who's come in this season as a true freshman for the University of Minnesota Gophers. And he's made a really nice transition. Like I've mentioned several times on Prospect Avenue, just jumped right into the NCAA this season. Has been doing really good things, coming up as a clutch player for the Gophers. He's really good in trenches, good board battler, likes to get to the front of the net with and without the puck. And his skating continues to improve. If there was a knock on his game, it was his acceleration and foot speed. We're seeing him really hang in there with some big boys at the collegiate level this year, and he looks really good moving around the ice. So that's really good for the Sabres development staff to see. 8 goals this season for Ziemer in his first 20 collegiate games, 11 total points. What's good about the goals is that he's coming up in big spots here. 4 of those goals have been the game's first goal. He has 2 game winners mixed in there as well. When you look at in terms of expected usage for Ziemer this year, looks like he's probably going to be firmly on the 3rd even strength line here for the Americans, which could be a good thing. He's going to get some good matchups, likely get some secondary power play time. I've mentioned on Prospect Avenue, going back to the summer at the World Junior Summer Showcase, he started to move his way up the ladder and ultimately played a couple games paired with current teammate Oliver Moore. He's probably played on a line with Oliver Moore with the Gophers this season, probably 80% of the time. Through 2 pre-tournament games, he's been paired with Oliver Moore, and Boston College freshman and Nashville Predators prospect Teddy Stiga is on the opposite wing. And I really like the makeup of that Moore line with Ziemer and Stiga on the flanks. Both of those guys, they're mirror images of each other. Ziemer and Stiga are. They have high work rate. They're really good IQ players. And you put the speedy centerman down the middle. That's a line that can make things happen in all 3 zones of the ice. So we'll see how it shakes out if that unit stays together. But right now it's been pretty consistent in the 2 pre-tournament games. And in those two pre-tournament games, Zimmer's come away with 1 power play assist thus far and a 6-2 win over the Slovaks. So Zimmer looking good here in the early goings with the Gophers, and looks to be set up really well to make an impression with Team USA in his first World Junior go-around. Joining Zimmer on the American squad is big, athletic, 6'5" right-handed defenseman Adam Kleber, second-round pick for the Sabres in the 2024 draft. He's been playing really good hockey, very steady and reliable, kind of like Sturback defensively for the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs this season. Started the year down the lineup, and he was playing, 13 and a half, 14 and a half minutes to begin the season. Mid-November came, and they saw what Kleber can do, and they put him up on the top pair, and he hasn't looked back since. He's been playing 19, 20 minutes a night. He's gone over 20 2 times this season thus far. He had over 22 minutes in a game back on, I think it was November 15th against Miami of Ohio. So his minutes have escalated, and I think where he fits here is right on that middle pair. So what the Americans have done thus far in pre-tournament action is they're using Kleber as kind of that steady, I don't want to say stay at home, but he's more of the defensive oriented part of the defensive pair with Washington Capitals prospect Cole Hudson, who's more that puck moving power play guy, very mobile, agile defenseman, offensively gifted. So they have kind of the yin and the yang there with Hudson paired with Kleber. And I kind of like that combo. We saw a little bit of that over the summer at the World Junior Summer Showcase, and the American coaching staff must have liked what they saw as well, putting them together here through 2 pre-tournament games. Last but not least, we'll round out the 6 Sabres prospects that'll be participating at the 2025 World Junior Championship with kind of the long shot Sabres prospect here. And that's 2023 7th round defenseman Norwin Panaka. He's a left shot D. He's going to be returning to play for Team Germany again this year. And Panaka, he had a goal last year in 5 games at the 2024 World Juniors, pretty much the only goal that he scored in competition since being drafted by the Sabres back in 2023. And look, it's been a pretty bumpy ride for Panaka since being drafted. Picked up 15 assists last year in 52 games with Chicoutimi in the QMJHL. And then they released him after the season. Just wasn't a good situation. It didn't seem like Panaka really blended well on that team with the coaching staff. So they cut him loose. He ended up being selected in the CHL import draft by the Prince Albert Raiders of the Western Hockey League. And he lasted just 3 games there before the Raiders made a move to bring in a different import player, and those import spots are coveted in the CHL. So Panaka was back out looking for a job, and he eventually landed with the Green Bay Gamblers in the USHL, where he currently plays with Vasily Zelenov. And he's picked up 3 assists and has a -5 rating in 15 games with the Gamblers. So I'm presuming that the Sabres kind of exercise that Michael Leone connection. Leone, of course, came from Green Bay before taking the job as the Amerks bench boss this season, found him a spot to play, and we'll see where Panaka's game goes. He was always going to be a long shot, I think, as a 7th round pick, but I think the bumpy ride here, it's been tricky. But look, it'll be nice for him to go back, play internationally, play for his country, see what it does for his confidence level, and he can come back to the USHL and maybe take his game to the next level. We'll see how it goes for Norwin Panaka here at the World Junior Championship. This was designed to be a pretty quick podcast this week. Going to keep it under 20 minutes. So I'm going to cut it short right here, right now. It is Christmas Eve. I'm done. I already got my workout in. Time to eat some cookies and have a little Christmas cheer. I hope everyone here watching this or listening on the audio version has a wonderful holiday season. Thank you for your support. If you could please like this video if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe to the Sabres Prospects YouTube channel if you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. Hope everyone has a great holiday season and a happy new year. I'm Chris Baker. We'll see you again very soon. Enjoy the tournament.